and even married them off to armed commanders. In history, when the Arabs invaded Persia and the Levant, female war captives were enslaved, and generations of women lived under oppression and sexual exploitation. These verses show that for centuries, religious commands have been tools of violence and exploitation. For centuries, women have been victims of war, rape, and patriarchal dominance, and to this day, in many Islamic countries, the same religious and legal logic sustains these atrocities. A truly wise and free-thinking human being must question these laws and traditions and realize that no religion or deity has the right to sacrifice a woman's humanity, freedom, or body on the altar of power and superstition. Child marriage and religious violence against children. Inherited from the example of Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam. One of the darkest and most shameful chapters in Islamic history is Muhammad's marriage to Aisha, a 9-year-old girl. In the most authentic Sunni hadith collections, such as Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith 5133, and Sahih Muslim, hadith 1422, Aisha herself states, "The Messenger of Allah married me when I was 6 years old, and consummated the marriage with me when I was 9. Yes, this means the role model for Muslims, their prophet, married a 9-year-old girl. This is not found in books written by enemies of Islam, but in its most respected sources. In this religion, marrying a child is not only not considered a sin, but it is promoted as a sunnah of the Prophet and has been used ever since to justify child marriage in Muslim societies." Consequences in Afghanistan and the Muslim world today. In Afghanistan today, young girls, sometimes only 8 or 9 years old, are sold or given in marriage to men decades older, often under the stamp of Sharia and tradition. Clerics cite Quran and Hadith to justify it. Girls who have barely stopped playing with dolls are sent to a husband's home to act as wives and mothers. The results are devastating. Physical harm, injuries, bleeding, death during childbirth. Psychological damage, depression, suicide. Perpetuation of cycles of poverty and ignorance. Religious legitimization. While the Quran does not explicitly set a minimum marriage age, in Surah At-Talaq 65:4 it gives rulings on the waiting period, iddah, for divorce even for girls who have not yet menstruated, meaning children. Major Sunni commentators, such as Al-Tabari and Ibn Kathir, openly state that this includes child marriages and divorces. This means the book Muslims call a mercy has legal provisions for divorcing prepubescent girls. A pain that continues today. From Daikundi to Helmand, from Kandahar to Badakhshan, 8 or 9-year-old girls are forced into marriage simply because they are female. This is not just a cultural problem, its roots lie in a text considered divine and in the actions of a man considered the perfect example. A question of conscience. If today, a 50-year-old man married a 9-year-old girl, in any civilized country he would be called a criminal and a pedophile and sent to prison. So why, when Muhammad did it, is it called mercy and a model to follow? This moral double standard has poisoned the heart of Islam. From the Prophet's tradition to Taliban law. What Muhammad did 1,400 years ago has today, in Afghanistan, been transformed into Sharia law. The Taliban, blind followers of the Quran and Hadith, ignore global experience and instead follow a text and tradition that legitimizes child abuse. When Taliban clerics in Kandahar or Kabul say, marriage to a 9-year-old girl is permissible, their claim rests on 2 sources. Aisha's hadith recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Quran 65:4, which governs the divorce of underage girls. This means their law is rooted in religious text, not just local culture. Living examples from Afghanistan. In Badakhshan province last year, a 10-year-old girl was forcibly married to a 40-year-old man. Because her father was in debt. When her family protested, a village cleric said, "The Prophet married Aisha at this age, so it is not a sin." In Helmand, a 9-year-old girl died on her wedding night due to severe bleeding. Her family was not even allowed to hold mourning rituals because it was called divine will. In Gore, some families gave their young daughters to elderly men in exchange for a copy of the Quran, claiming it would earn them spiritual reward. When the government itself enforces this superstition, the victims have nowhere to turn. The Taliban not only register these marriages but also imprison or even execute anyone who dares to call them wrong, labeling it as insulting the Prophet's tradition. This means that in Afghanistan today, defending children is considered a crime, while child abuse, under the label of marriage, is sanctified. Conscience versus blind tradition. The world now protects animals in zoos from harm and abuse, yet in the heart of Islamic countries, children remain defenseless victims in the name of religion. Ask yourself, can a religion whose prophet marries a 9-year-old girl and whose book approves it really claim to be a mercy for the world? Psychological and social consequences of child marriage. Child marriage is not just an individual injustice, it is an organized crime that destroys generations. Sending a girl into marriage at 9 or 10 years old deprives her of childhood, education, and a future. Physical consequences. Children's bodies are not ready for pregnancy and childbirth. Maternal and infant mortality risks increase dramatically. According to WHO data, a large portion of young girls' deaths in Afghanistan are due to complications from early childbirth. Forced sexual relations cause tears, internal bleeding, and sexually transmitted diseases. Psychological consequences. Severe depression from sudden separation from home and loss of childhood. Constant anxiety and fear of husband and in-laws. Many girls attempt suicide or flee because they see no other escape. Social consequences. Denying girls' education perpetuates family poverty. Child marriage increases domestic violence, as the husband is usually much older and domineering. Societies that sacrifice their girls can never achieve equality or progress. Worse still, in many Islamic countries, this crime is sanctified rather than condemned, because the Prophet did it. This sanctification keeps even today's Afghan girls trapped in this hell. 1,400 years of misery. For 1,400 years, this superstition has cast a shadow over the girls and women of Islamic lands. The Prophet's marriage to a 9-year-old girl was not just a personal event, it became a model that has victimized millions of children to this day. The Quran, 65:4, and authentic hadiths of Bukhari and Muslim legitimize this oppression. In today's Afghanistan, this tradition has become Taliban law. Clerics and muftis, with smiles and a tone of sanctity, repeat the catastrophe that Muhammad initiated. Young girls, before learning the alphabet of life, are forced to bear the heavy burdens of marriage, pregnancy, and abuse. My message to you. As long as we treat the Quran and its traditions as sacred, our children will not be free. We will not escape poverty and misery. This misfortune has persisted for 1,400 years and will continue unless you awaken. No society has ever achieved justice and progress by clinging to superstition. My message to the world, science and humanity, is, do not remain silent when children are sacrificed in the name of religion. Silence in the face of child marriage is complicity in this crime. Let us break this taboo. Let us courageously say, no prophet has the right to touch a child. No book has the right to legalize rape. No government has the right to call oppression worship. Until we speak the truth, the Taliban and all followers of this tradition will continue stealing the future of our daughters. All of Allah's message in the Quran is tainted with these absurdities. We see clearly, the greatest enemy of humanity is not America, not England, not anyone else, it is the Quran. And if we do not distance ourselves from this enemy, we will continue to burn, as we have for 1,400 years. My hope is that light will triumph over darkness, and knowledge over ignorance. And abuse. My message to you. As long as we treat the Quran and its traditions as sacred, our children will not be free. We will not escape poverty and misery. This misfortune has persisted for 1,400 years and will continue unless you awaken. No society has ever achieved justice and progress by clinging to superstition. My message to the world, science and humanity, is, do not remain silent when children are sacrificed in the name of religion. Silence in the face of child marriage is complicity in this crime. Let us break this taboo. Let us courageously say, no prophet has the right to touch a child. No book has the right to legalize rape. No government has the right to call oppression worship. Until we speak the truth, the Taliban and all followers of this tradition will continue stealing the future of our daughters. All of Allah's message in the Quran is tainted with these absurdities. We see clearly, the greatest enemy of humanity is not America, not England, not anyone else, it is the Quran. And if we do not distance ourselves from this enemy, we will continue to burn, as we have for 1,400 years. My hope is that light will triumph over darkness, and knowledge over ignorance.
خداوند شما بیمار انگار، یه بیمار خطرناک تبهکار. اصول دینتون مرگ و جنون